You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
No, Michael. Michael? Michael. Oh, me. Yep, just getting me some General Tso's chicken cooked up and ready for tomorrow.
Delicious.
When we finish our pod tonight, I'm going to heat up a nice cast iron frying pan and throw it in there and get that sauce nice and sticky.
Sticky.
That's what she said.
The stickiest of the icky.
Because that sauce, it's just not good if it's not sticky.
Sticky, sticky, sticky.
Sticky, sticky. Just kind of where both of our teams found themselves in Champions League qualification.
Ooh, sticky. What a sticky segue right into the AFA podcast.
You like that, didn't you? West Metro came up with that one on the fly.
Well done.
While tossing my chicken.
It's better than choking. Welcome, everyone.
Not chicken salad either. So.
Oh, this is horrible. We've already been demonetized. Welcome, everyone, to the Foreign Affair Podcast, episode 302. That's right. We are at 302 episodes, and we aren't stopping. And you thought this was going to be an Anfield Corner week, but hell no.
Haven't been canceled yet, bitches.
Oh, no. Oh, no. We looked at the international news landscape and said, there's no way we could do an Anfield Corner this week. So
we can never do one again for the foreseeable future.
That's true. Second Anfield Corner. Thank God that's
after this week.
Anyway, so welcome everyone.
As we know, the Champions League, the only one that matters.
Yeah.
Or, excuse me, the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly.
Forget the Champions League. That's so secondary to everything.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares about that? That's nothing. It's definitely a dead competition. Ask literally anybody right now in England. We will definitely be talking about the Champions League, of course. Knockout stages have started in earnest again. We'll also be doing, of course, a quick recap of the second half of the international winter break in the Premier League, which did definitely happen, so good on that. We'll also, of course, have news and notes, just explosive news hitting the airwaves this week. We will be diving head first into that, of course, and the widespread ramifications that may be taking place in the blue side of Manchester. And then, of course, we'll have Watch 4 to have a nice little palate cleanser at the end of the episode. As always, do want to mention the podcast is presented by NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. We never stop. So let's take a quick trip into the Premier League as we get started on the second week of the winter break. We started on Friday, Valentine's Day, and love was so in the air they said, let's split the points. Wolves and Leicester go to a 0-0 draw, although Wolves had a couple of goals ruled out through that wonderful thing of VAR, because you can't spell Valentine's Day without VA. And there's an R in there. There we go. I love that. So, yeah. Wolves unlucky a little bit to not come away with all 3 points there. Burnley do beat surging Southampton 2-1 on the road. An eventual winner on the hour coming from Matej Vidra for Burnley as he cancels out Danny Ings' early equalizer in this one. Then on Sunday, Tottenham and Aston Villa played an absolute barn burner. Heung-min Son, in maybe his final action of the year, did a brace, which is, I assume, what he's probably wearing right now on his arm, with a pair of goals, both in stoppage time, one in the first half, one in the second half. Toby Alderweireld also gamely playing just a few hours after the birth of his child, coming in, gives up an own goal, but then scores an absolute worldie in the 27th to make up for things. And again, Son's winner in the 94th minute on just a terrible clearance from Villa allowed him to sprint on goal unimpeded and score the winner, to give Tottenham a big 3 points in their bid for a top 4 asterisk spot, I guess. We'll get to that in news and notes. Don't you worry, folks. It's suddenly even easier now. And then Arsenal also beat Newcastle 4-0. Newcastle not looking so good there. That's not great. And then Monday, Manchester United does the double on Chelsea, getting them out 2-0. Although it would be safe to say that Chelsea did have, much like Wolves did in their match against Leicester, a couple of dynamite chances, a pair of goals ruled out from VAR, including what would have been an equalizer from Olivier Giroud. But Anthony Martial and Harry Maguire get on the board for United in this one. So United doing Spurs and the rest of that clump a favor and keeping Chelsea within striking distance. And then on Wednesday, today, Manchester City just cruises past West Ham 2-0. Just an easy match over at the Etihad, with all the things swirling around them that we will get to in news and notes. And finally, Wes, it may not be Anfield Corner, but we'll talk a little bit about Anfield in the Premier League. Even though they played at Carrow Road, it doesn't really matter. The bit's dead. Liverpool do get a 1-0 victory over Norwich to continue their march towards the Premier League trophy. Sadio Mane with the lone goal in this match, the 78th minute winner there, as Norwich gamely tries to take charge over Liverpool, but unfortunately cannot find much of anything on goal, and Liverpool, the deserved winners on the day, against the Canaries.
Yep.
Fantastic. Those broadcasting classes have really paid off.
I had to hallelujah and say yep.
Fantastic.
I didn't realize you were ready for me to talk now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Liverpool go in coming off a 2-week break. Liverpool kind of have a history of coming off these breaks, maybe a little flat, not at their best. And they certainly weren't against Norwich. I mean, luckily for them, there's a reason they're like 55 points ahead of Norwich in the table.
True.
And at the end of the day, I mean, give a lot of credit to Norwich. They played a good game, but at the end of the day, it was a moment of brilliance from Henderson and Mane that got the job done. Probably a few more that could have, should have gone in for Liverpool on the day. But 1-0 is 3 points in the bank. And Liverpool now at a minimum are 5 wins away from the Premier League title. They continue the best start in English history, if not European top league history. And they just, the Reds keep rolling. It's what they do. They just keep rolling. They just keep finding results. And, there's not really a lot else to say, man. They do their thing and just keep going.
We'll talk more about Liverpool later when we get to the Champions League.
There'll be a little more to digest at that point, I guess.
One of the interesting things is, and just to continue the theory that the Premier League is definitely scripted, whereas last year everything we kept talking about was City and Liverpool definitely desiring to trade places. Like, well, Liverpool won the Champions League, which they've done 6 times now, got it in before West. And City, they've won the Premier League now a couple times this decade. They would have happily traded places this year. Well, maybe this year they'll get that chance. We'll see. Well,
the fan base doesn't much care about the Champions League, so I guess the ownership's like, screw it.
Wes, VAR has proven the Premier League doesn't care about the fans. Hey! Got him!
Absolutely.
There it is.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're gonna quickly move on from that terrible joke. We will let you know the Premier League is back in earnest, starting this weekend as teams get back at it. Starting off with the big match of the week: Chelsea versus Tottenham. A very depleted Tottenham. As mentioned earlier, I kind of glossed over it, but in the Aston Villa match, Heung-min Son did end up fracturing his arm and like the first 5 minutes, and then played the rest of the game, and as mentioned, scored a brace. So yeah, he's proper hard. I don't know what the South Korean for that is, but I think he's proper hard. And unfortunately, without him and Harry Kane, Tottenham will be lacking. It looks like after their match today against Leipzig.
Hey, did they get to sign an emergency striker like Bar?
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
No, because they're not Barcelona.
That's true. We're not Barcelona. We're not Catalans, so we can't do that. So Tottenham, unfortunately, will be without the services of their two high-scoring threats, and they will have to rely on Lucas Moura and maybe Stevie Bergwijn to come in and provide some magic against Chelsea at the Bridge. Elsewhere at 10 a.m., you'll get Southampton versus Aston Villa, Crystal Palace versus Newcastle, Sheffield versus Brighton and Hove, Burnley versus Bournemouth. Then at 12:30, I guess this matters, Leicester City will be taking on Manchester City. It's probably going to be an okay game, so check it out at the KP. It doesn't really matter. One of these teams is qualifying for the Champions League. One of them will, unless, their sentence isn't commuted. So, they're playing. I promise. Sunday, 9 a.m., Manchester United takes on Watford at Old Trafford, as well as Wolves taking on Norwich. Then 11:30 a.m., the battle of mid-table teams, Arsenal versus Everton at the Emirates. 11:30 a.m., prime time on Sunday, baby. That's what it's all about. And then on Monday, Liverpool pick up a free win versus West Ham at 3 p.m. Like, why do we even... it's like, oh, don't jinx them. It's fucking West Ham, guys. Come on. And it's at Anfield. Are you really going to sit here and... Look. If I jinx Liverpool against West Ham at Anfield, there's bigger things going on. Let's just put it at that. This isn't, don't talk about the no-hitter. You don't want to talk. No, fuck that. This is easy.
Not only that, it's going to be a pissed off Liverpool, which West Ham's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Great. This is what we needed. Is pissed off, ready to come home and get in front of their own fans, Liverpool.
Sorry, Moisey. That's just how it's good. That's just how it be sometimes, So do enjoy Monday Night Football.
And on top of it, it's Moisey at Anfield. That doesn't work well.
No, it does not. As we take a look at the table, Liverpool, they're going to win. Manchester City are in second place. Not that it really matters. They are 4 points ahead of Leicester in third place. Chelsea very far behind, tenuously hanging on to fourth place ahead of their big match against Tottenham, who are in fifth, just 1 point back. Sheffield United also just 2 back. United are 3 back of Chelsea, so there is a big clump there, along with Wolves, Everton, and maybe even Arsenal threatening to strike if they can get on a run here in the last 12 matches. At the bottom of your heart, the relegation zone, Aston Villa sit just outside of it, while West Ham march towards potential championship play next year. They're at 24 points, along with Watford, who have made a surge up and may find themselves a way to get out of relegation, which would be a hell of a comeback story. Norwich, 7 points adrift. Not impossible, but not so likely for the Canaries, unfortunately. It may be another one-and-done job for them. Sorry, Tito.
Yeah, not looking good. They're fun to watch, but just not looking good.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those kind of sucky leagues where, like, everybody... Okay, there's Liverpool, which is, like, S tier. We know that. And then there's just, like, a lot of teams that range from good to, like, okay. Like, even...
Well, there's Liverpool, there's City, and then, and there's City with the asterisk because it's basically City who doesn't matter, right?
Exactly. So, and there's just kind of everybody else. So,
yeah. And then, like, literally, I mean, teams under 10th right now could find a way into Europe somehow.
It's true. It's damn true. So, we'll see about that as the Premier League hits the home stretch with 12 matches to play. And now we talk about the champions. The Champions League is back, everybody. Well, it's going to be great, guys. Don't worry. Knockout stages have returned for the Champions League after what felt like about 8 months off from last we saw these teams over in the continental competition. They have now taken back to the stage. Let's start over in Germany. Borussia Dortmund 2, Paris Saint-Germain 1. Big, Erling Haaland, who has been just the belle of the ball. If he played on Ajax, it'd be more perfect, to be quite frank. Haaland with a brace in this one, though, for Dortmund, including the eventual winner, coming just 2 minutes after Neymar had leveled things up for PSG. Haaland, I believe, with his 4th goal of this Champions League, just such a big boost for Dortmund. And Wes, this is one of those things where PSG keeps looking really good in Leon for what that's worth, and they come in here, hey, even Neymar did turn up. Neymar did score, so we can't shit too much on him before he goes to visit.
Well, I don't know. He's getting shit on a lot.
and you can go into that here in just a second. But this is a case now, to be fair, this leg was in Germany. They are going to be going back to Paris for the second leg, and PSG did get of course, a very big away goal. Those are super important. So, hey, a 1-0 victory in Paris in a couple weeks does get PSG through. But Wes, this is starting to slowly feel like another Champions League is starting to slip away from PSG.
And you say, oh, well, we'll get a 1-0 in Paris. Yeah, are you stopping Erling Haaland?
Apparently no one can right now.
Are you stopping the scoring machine that is Erling Haaland? I mean, Jesus, God, this guy's just incredible.
Yeah.
But don't worry, man, Manchester United fans. You didn't really want him. Your team didn't really want him.
Who could use that? Not us.
No, certainly not United, right?
Can he be our emergency striker?
Oh, man, you got to fight with Dortmund over that one.
We beat them last year. We earned it. This is what we get. These are our spoils. That's how it works.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, maybe if you had Potts, but we'll
that's.
End of the day, like you said, Neymar did score, but Neymar's still taking a lot of grief for this. He had some controversial comments after the match,
Yes,
complaining about PSG resting him the past 4 matches, and that's why he wasn't at his best, because he was rusty and he just wasn't ready. Well, you know what? I'm going to defend PSG here because, man, with Neymar, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because if he had played any of those 4 previous matches, that damn hamstring or that ankle or that knee or something was going to get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
And then it would have been, they made me play, and that's why I can't play in the Champions League, because they got me hurt playing Dijon or whoever the hell they were playing that didn't matter. No. It comes out of the fact that Neymar, at his core, is maybe the most selfish player in the world. And no matter what PSG are doing in France, where they're playing beautiful team football and everything's coming together, it's almost like as soon as Neymar is like, ooh, this is a match the world's watching. Ooh, we're on worldwide television. It's the Neymar showtime. And he tries to do literally everything by himself. He doesn't bring his teammates in. He certainly doesn't defend. We know that. But he tries to do all these flicks and tricks and step overs, and it's almost like Neymar, all he gets his mindset in is, I need to make all the highlights. Mm-hmm. And suddenly that team just is not anywhere near where they need to be. Now that said, he wasn't alone in this. Mbappe did not play very well. And PSG in general just did not look coherent, did not, there is something to playing lesser competition throughout the year.
Absolutely.
When suddenly a team that's just as maybe a team that you finally find that has your talent level, and it's a big match. Well, here's Dortmund. I mean, they play Leipzig, they play Munich, they played Mönchengladbach, they play Leverkusen. All these teams who are having good seasons and are really good teams. They're playing them more often. They're used to getting up for these matches. I mean, when was the last match PSG played? In the group stage?
Yeah, unless they played maybe Lyon in that time period. That's it.
Lyon's a shadow of what they've been. I mean, and even then, it's still. I mean, you're still talking about Lyon, who aren't on the level of these other squads.
Sure.
And for PSG, I think it's always a little culture shocky where they're having to almost play catch up for the first half of a match just to try to get up to speed.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, it ends up catching them. As we say, Neymar does Neymar thing, and we're staring right down the barrel of another PSG flameout in the round of 16.
Yeah, and
where just a couple of days ago you were seeing articles pop up. Oh, PSG, they're the team best suited to win the Champions League. Oh, boys, this is the year. No, Neymar still be Neymar. Now let's see if he can make it to the second match.
Yeah, that is going to be, of course, a question. Someone who won't be making the second match, Thomas Meunier, with the yellow card he picked up in this one, he will be missing the second leg through accumulation.
And according to him, he didn't know that he couldn't get a yellow card.
That's okay. That's.
I mean, he said, well, no one told me that if I got another yellow card, I was going to get a suspension. Son of a bitch.
That is...
I don't think he said "some of my bitch," but he could have, he should have.
Maybe he said it in French. That's really weird. Okay. Also, fair enough. Giovanni Reyna, the youngster from America. I don't know what it is about Dortmund and giving young Americans a chance, but hey, he came on and provided an assist. So big ups to that kid. Also,
youngest American to ever play in the Champions League now.
Yeah, eat that, Christian Pulisic. Former youngest, I think. Also, real quick, one thing that I want to talk about. This may be sneakily like one of the biggest deals done for especially for a club like Dortmund. Getting Emre Can, who wasn't really doing anything at Juventus, but can kind of be this solid presence for Dortmund. Because what did we talk about a lot for Dortmund is how they were shipping goals. And to have someone like that who does have experience in big matches come in and be sort of maybe a stabilizing force. Not that he's amazing or anything, but to have someone like that come in mid-season and provide a little bit of boost for this Dortmund team, I think that's going to prove to be very, very big. And he was very big on this night against PSG.
Chan's always been a good player. By the end, didn't really fit. I don't think he quite fit where Liverpool were going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think a lot of us, we didn't really care for the way Emre Can kind of handled his business on the way out the door. But I will give it to him, when he was able to get on the field, he had a late injury in the season. But, Emre Can gave it all. And he came up with some really big moments for Liverpool. He had some inconsistency to him. But, you look at that year getting back into making sure Liverpool stayed in the Champions League, where they lost the final in Kiev, but they finished fourth to qualify for the next one. Had a huge late goal against Watford in a 1-0 that got it done for the Reds. Young man has played on big stages before. I think he kind of got shit on at Juventus a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think he got caught up in the however the hell Juventus are deciding to do their business.
Sure.
I don't even think they know sometimes.
Sure.
The fact that Mauricio Sarri somehow keeps fooling people into giving him a job. With Sarri ball, which they don't play at all at Juventus, by the way. They play give it to Ronaldo ball. But yeah, Can has gone to Dortmund, and I think almost as big as anything, he's got a chip on his shoulder from his time at Juventus. So he's looking to reestablish himself in the European mindset right now.
So there you go. That was big for them. as we move on to another match, Atalanta. You know, I mean, somebody was going to have to come out of this Atalanta-Valencia tie as the winner and advance to the round of 8. And nothing against Atalanta. They've been a good story. But hell, coming out with 4 goals within about almost an hour in what I believe is their first Champions League knockout stage match.
Correct.
Just pounding Valencia, who does have a little bit of European competition pedigree to them. That's insane. And Atalanta maybe ends up, depending on who they draw, because, you know, weird things happen. Hey, maybe Atalanta becomes this year's Ajax. But, I mean, if you're an Atalanta supporter, not going super well in Serie A this year. I believe last time I checked, they were just within the top half of the table there. Or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm completely wrong here. But
I'll check them real quick. I do believe they're in the top of the table, but they're not in that top 3 race right now. I know that.
Just a phenomenal start to their. Okay, I'm sorry. They are 4th place. I was thinking of Napoli. That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, Napoli's having a poor season.
Yeah,
but they're also in the knockout here. And for Atalanta, don't forget, this is a team who barely scraped out of the group stage.
Yeah.
Became the first team ever, I think, not to have. God, it was something they did crazy that they should not have. They should not be in the knockout stage. Let's put it that way.
Let me look real quick because I feel like I remember what you're talking about. Just 7 points. They were in Manchester City's group. They were also in a group with Shakhtar and Zagreb. So yeah, big moment for them though to come out. And again, Valencia not the strongest of opponents you could have drawn in this knockout stage. Valencia kind of shock winners of their group. I believe they were the group with Chelsea and Ajax that had that very weird finish to it. But to come out with this, and again, now they're going to have to go on the road. Valencia, we have to say, did get an away goal, so that isn't something.
It gives them a sniff at least.
Yeah, gives them a lifeline. But big ups to Atalanta for coming out and just absolutely overwhelming Valencia in this one. And
Atalanta Braves.
There you go. Cheers to you guys. If you guys can make the round of 8 and make a little bit more noise, that's pretty awesome. We'll do Tottenham next. Tottenham, unfortunate 1-0 defeat to Leipzig over at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Again, is with the injuries that they had, just having to throw everybody on as much as they could. Jose Mourinho in his press conference afterwards, notably praising a lot of his players for giving everything they had, praising Eric Lamela in particular, who pretty much just got back into training like a couple days ago from an injury and played the last half hour. So big ups to him, big ups to a lot of these guys. Hugo Lloris not able to save the penalty taken by Timo Werner in the 58th minute. But overall, an excellent man of the match performance, even in the loss, showing, especially to everybody out there who says Hugo Lloris is washed up. Well, the man can still come out on the big stage and do pretty well. Hey, Tottenham had, crazier performances last year in the Champions League, and they were able to come back. It will be difficult going to Leipzig. Again, especially with the team, not many reinforcements coming down that pipe. Harry Kane's not walking through that door, to quote Rick Pitino. But Wes, I don't think Tottenham is out of that, and I think that's sort of, to a similar extent, maybe not as much as Liverpool, who we're talking about here in a minute. But Tottenham is still certainly not out of this, and they still maybe can conjure up a little bit of that Mourinho magic and find a way to score a few goals. Had a few chances in this game. I believe Lo Celso hit the woodwork at one point that would have given them an equalizer. So definitely still will be chances to come over in Germany in the next part of the tie.
There will. It's just, with Mourinho, Spurs has just become more and more negative with their play kind of as we go along. And I guess, that was to be expected with Josie. That's the price of playing Josie ball.
Well, I don't even think it's I think that's part of it, but I think it's also just kind of the hand he's been dealt. I mean, with not a whole lot of offensive reinforcements, with Kane going down, and then with Son going down with his injury, it's just going to become more. And unless Mora or Ali, who's gone a little bit cold again, or one of the new signings in Bergwijn or Ndombele really step up and become a goal-scoring threat, that's kind of, I think, almost by default how they have to play. It sucks going where you have to score a goal to advance and do that.
And that's just where I'm worried about Spurs is right now there's no creativity, nothing's falling for them. You lose Son, who was really maybe your biggest threat at this point. Mm-hmm. Him and Kane both gone. Maybe Lamela can come back and give them a jolt, give them some creativity up front. Might need to push Celso a little further forward. If Ndombele would decide to stay healthy for more than one or two matches in a row and maybe play 90 minutes, that would be a huge help for him.
Yes.
God, a guy who so much was expected from Ndombele, and he got off to such a fantastic start. Mm-hmm. And he's not a bust, but just hasn't been able to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Hasn't been able to stay on the field. And also there have been some questions about it because, the old adage we've talked about, are you injured or are you hurt? Mm-hmm. Well, if you're injured, get the hell off the field and go see the doctor. If you're hurt, get up and start running and run it off. And I think there's been some questions around Ndombele. Sometimes, is he actually injured or is he just not 100% ready to go? And a lot of times, especially being a professional athlete, by this time of the season, you're not always going to be 90 or 100%. But you've got to be able to dig down. That's what makes you a professional and makes you one of the top players in the world. You've got to be able to dig down and pull out performances when it doesn't feel good. When you're not feeling great, that's when you've got to be able to do things like that. And for Ndombele, I think he's got to get that mindset, especially playing in England. Mm-hmm. He's got to find that mindset where, I've got to be ready to go to battle. I've got to be ready for but man, when he is healthy and able to play, you see the quality. He's fantastic. Mm-hmm. So, hopefully he'll be able to put together a good run here. Spurs are not dead. Mm-hmm. Man, Leipzig looked pretty damn good today, though, didn't they?
They sure did.
Leipzig looked real damn good. Timo Werner was all over the place. Mm-hmm. Probably could have had another goal or two. Like you said, a few times Hugo Lloris was standing on his head. Mm-hmm. To borrow from the Aki. He was standing on his head a few times, and as you said, was the one who I think is keeping Spurs in this tie right now.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens when it goes back to the still unnamed White Hart Lane. But especially with the injuries and kind of the just not knowing what you got at this point, I think there's a lot of nervous Tottenham fans thinking for 2 weeks ahead.
I will also give a lot of credit to some of the individual players. Davinson Sanchez had a fantastic game. It wasn't just Lloris that was keeping them out of goal. Sanchez also with some vital blocks. Gedson Fernandez in his first Champions League game with Spurs was really, really good. He looked like something pretty special maybe going forward. And big ups to Giovanni Lo Celso once again. Josie even calling it out in his press conference, gets a yellow card in the first 10 minutes and made it kind of hard for him to play the rest of the game. But in the final 20, he's still just giving it his all. And he's someone who has, he was kind of like Ndombele. He was also injured for a lot of the early part of the season, but he seems to be sort of hitting his stride now, knock on wood. And is someone that Josie looks to be really starting to rely on. So as you said, maybe he's the guy that starts to kickstart. Maybe if he becomes that next Christian Eriksen type player, he can start getting those guys into a good position and getting them to scoring opportunities where they can take advantage of it. So, as you said, not dead, but hey, we saw much crazier shit happen last year. So we will see. And then finally, Atletico Madrid 1, Liverpool 0. Liverpool suffer, as the Athletic writer put it, this team's first defeat since September. Atletico Madrid with an early goal from Saul Nunez. Or Nunez.
Nunez. I call him Nunez.
Nunez, that's fine.
Let's just say Saul.
on a very weird play off a corner, taking a couple deflections, but Saul eventually the man to tap it home from close range. Liverpool tried, but seemed to just be completely lacking in the final third. And this was one where I was going to do a quick throwback. But before I do that, I do want to just say that before the stats tell a much different story, just going by expected goals, from shot-based expected goals, Liverpool only expected to get 0.6 goals from this match. So do keep that in mind when I was very prepared. But I didn't want to send it to you because I didn't want to rub salt in the wound, because that's not how we're friends like that. But just looking at the numbers as they played out, man, this feels like a throwback to when we started doing this podcast with Liverpool games. 73% possession, 8 shots, 7 chances created. They had, I want to say, quick math, about 450 more accurate passes than Atletico. 20% better pass success rate. 7 corners to 2, and yet still didn't come out with a goal. Now, again, according to shots-based expected goal number, that was a lot of possession that didn't ultimately lead to very many good chances overall. So, Wes, and I'm sure you'll get into a lot more of the other things that were swirling, as some people like to call it, the dark arts that took place in this game. But I almost have to say, in a little bit of a way, I think this is a deserved result for Atletico. Not that they deserve to win the entire tie off of this, but I think the way this game shook out, whatever other extracurriculars went on, I think Atletico were deserved winners of this match.
Oh, 100%. 100%. You kind of mentioned Liverpool with the possession and all that damn possession shit. This is the second time ever under Klopp that Liverpool have failed to muster a shot on goal. The other time was not this year, but last year in the loss at Napoli. And like you said, a lot of possession. As I put it, they huffed, they puffed. And they huffed and they puffed and they huffed and they puffed, and they forgot to blow Atleti's house down. At the end of the day, it was one of those days from Liverpool. They happen very few and far between. Unfortunately, it happened in the first leg of the knockout stage here. Atletico were 100% ready for this match. Their fans were ready. Liverpool, who are famous for the European atmosphere, they were greeted on the way to the stadium in their team coach with the flares and the smoke and the thousands of Atletico fans lining the streets. Why wouldn't you? Hell, the European champions, the quote best team in the world, are in town. You get to see this once, so you might as well go out there, go crazy, and do what you can. The Wanda was absolutely rocking and rolling last night, or that on the other evening. And once again, Atletico extremely deserved winners on the night. Now let's bring into effect the dark arts were 100% in effect. The referee played right into the hands of the dark arts. But given Atletico, Diego Simeone could not have could not have dreamed it up any better for his squad. I mean, you score in the 4th minute, and then you get to shut up shop.
Yeah.
Which for him is like, oh, hell yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. Just give me a lead to defend. And they did it phenomenally. Really shut the door on Liverpool going forward. Just kept forcing them to pass and pass and pass, not be able to get anything. The flopping was there. As we said, the dark arts. Sadio Mane came off at halftime of this match because Klopp was like, he was getting so close to getting a red card that I'm not risking him for the next match.
Yeah.
It's like, modest retreat, live to fight another day.
Absolutely.
I mean, freaking Sadio Mane comes out at halftime. Mo Salah comes off with 20 minutes left in just because they couldn't get anything going for him. It was a bad night. Jordan Henderson comes off with a hamstring injury. We haven't heard the extent of that. Hopefully, it won't be anything too bad. Maybe miss this upcoming West Ham match and get him ready for the run-in. Obviously, Jordan Henderson's having a monster season. But at the end of the day, Atletico get the well-deserved win. I will point out this time he officiated a Liverpool match was the loss in Paris, which also, if you go back and listen, my God, he was terrible that day too. So, he does have some history with us. But, here's the thing. As a Liverpool fan, a lot of Liverpool fans, we're at this point where we sit back and we're like, well, yeah, it sucked to lose. But as Jurgen Klopp said at the end of his press conference, welcome to Anfield. Because that's where you're coming next. You're coming to the Hornets' nest of Europe. You're coming to the fortress of Europe at this point. And, I mean, I feel very confident that Liverpool will go in, can get a couple of goals, can probably throw up a clean sheet. And, I mean, I'm very confident Liverpool are still going to walk out into the quarterfinal of this tournament.
We shall see about that. In a couple weeks here. One note after this match, which is something that feels actually makes sense when you think back onto it, but just with the way Liverpool's been playing this season, it's kind of crazy to think about. This is their 6th loss in their last 10 away Champions League matches.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
What?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, but you think back to, last season we sucked on the road. Got hammered at Barcelona. Yeah. It's been strange, on the road. But the thing is, Anfield is such an equalizer in these 2-leg ties, and just also in the return matches of the Champions League. Anfield's been the great equalizer, and they've done what they needed to do at home. And, if you can overturn a bad thing on the road, I would have loved to have gotten a goal yesterday. I mean, I'll say that. Obviously, you want to go on the road and get a goal. But, I mean, other than that, if you had to lose, you lose 1-0. And like I said, once again, Liverpool are well set up for the return leg to Anfield.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, if the result is 2-1 Liverpool, Atletico will still go through with the away goal. So that is very important. But will they get a goal? That is the big question. So as we
real quick, it'll be interesting to see how. It'll be really interesting to see how Simeone puts the team out.
Sure.
Do you maybe, by that point, is Diego Costa ready to play 60, 70 minutes as a guy who has previous history with Liverpool, has previous success with Liverpool, but is a guy who will come in, will hold up the will just be a complete dickhead, to say the least.
Speaking of the dark arts.
Speaking of the dark arts, I mean, God, beside a picture of the dark arts in the dictionary is Diego Costa. So it's going to be interesting because Alvaro Morata, he's what he is. He does not have success against English clubs, very much as we know from his Chelsea days.
He is.
So, it'll just be interesting to see how Simeone comes out, because you've almost got to assume that he's going to go to Anfield knowing his best bet is going to be to hold the line, try to pick them off on a counter somewhere, but hold the line. And you know what? If we come out 1-0, we come out 1-0. If we get this to penalties, it's a toss at that point. So.
Well, that will be on March 11th. Is when the return leg is, as well as the Tottenham match. Actually, the Tottenham match will be March 10th.
That'll be the 10th.
Yes, and then next week, 8 more teams take to the stage, as Real Madrid will be bidding adieu to the Champions League for Manchester City, as well as Chelsea taking on Bayern Munich, Lyon playing Juventus, and Napoli taking on Barcelona.
Ed, just throw it out there. Maybe March 11th. Could we do a live pod?
Could we?
Wednesday night.
Oh, yeah.
And I am off and can go to the pub.
I thought you meant like live during the match. I was like,
no. I mean like in
I see what you mean.
Green in the Palatial Green Studios.
There you go. Which is a nice seafoam green. Yes, that could very easily be worked out, I believe.
Maybe. We'll see.
Hey, we will see. So that might be something to look forward to in a couple weeks for you guys. So that is your Champions League update. And with that, we hit the news and notes, but we don't stop talking about the Champions League, because that factors in very heavily.
As someone said, in case you've been under a rock in the last week.
The absolute jaw-dropping story that didn't even look like it was going to be a story just even like a month ago. UEFA has decided to finally drop the ban hammer on Manchester City. And it seems like we've been talking so much about UEFA and their struggles with Manchester City, and to a lesser extent Paris Saint-Germain, about their financial fair play dodging and the things they tried to do to get around that. And what it seems like is that UEFA didn't get so mad that they got around it. It's more that they tried to cover it up. It's not the crime, it's the cover up. And that seems to be where UEFA really lost it. And they have banned Manchester City, as of now, for the next 2 Champions League seasons. So not this one, but the next 2, and have ordered them to pay a fine of 30 million euros.
What do you do?
Oh, yeah, that's not so.
In other words, I just stuck my hand in my pocket and pulled $25.
Thank you, Sheik. But what is a big deal is this, depending on who you talk to, I guess it's City, maybe it's not, is this Champions League ban. Manchester City is going to take it up with the Court of Arbitration for Sport to try and get it appealed, see if they can get the decision overturned. And from what it sounds like, from what I've read from there, City is not really going to be attacking it as much from a, no, you're wrong. It's, your investigation was biased and shoddy, and that's why we're appealing. Not because what you found is wrong, but because your investigation was bad.
We're okay with that part. We know but how dare you do it this way?
If the Court of Arbitration of Sport holds us up, Wes, whatever City fans want to say, and they have long believed that UEFA is out to get them, and that the Champions League doesn't really matter, and blah, 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 blah. This is, if financial fair play was ever going to actually mean something, this is a step that says, we're not fucking around anymore. Don't screw with us, or you will actually get booted. It doesn't matter who you are. So I'm just curious, we found out about this at almost the same time. Mm-hmm. What were your initial thoughts? And also, and maybe more importantly, do you think this will stay on appeal?
Well, my first thought was, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, with UEFA, when it comes to UEFA meting out penalties, I have no faith in UEFA.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, yeah, we knew that City were under investigation. We knew there was going to be something. And I don't think we thought twice about it.
No.
I think our thought was, oh, well, they'll probably get a fine.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. I thought at worst they might get what Chelsea got, which was like some kind of a transfer ban, which they would then appeal down and get it for like a window or something. And it would be like the winter window next year or some shit. I didn't think it would be anything really, crippling or anything with real teeth and consequence for City. I mean, so much so that when it came across, I was like, wait a minute. They were under investigation.
Yeah.
Like, shit, I'd almost forgotten about it because it was so out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, they're gone. And there were so many questions just immediately.
Absolutely.
What does this mean? First it's like, okay, so then who gets the fourth spot in the Premier League? And then it was, well, what players are going to be getting out of here now?
Yeah. Then
it's, well, God, who's going to actually sign with them? Because they need some nice retooling after this season. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it dawns on you, it's like, is Guardiola going to stick around for this shit? Because there was already talk of Guardiola potentially leaving.
Hello, Juventus? Hello?
What the hell's he doing? Even though he has now come out and said, oh, I don't care if they put us down in League Two. I will stay at City.
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
right.
buddy. Okay.
Put his ass in League Two, and we'll see smoke behind his damn wheels peeling out of Manchester. For City, this has bigger overarching consequences than just the immediate, oh, we're not here. It does so much to their squad, to their recruitment, because the best players want to compete and win the Champions League.
Sure.
Now, yes, there are guys who will go to City just because City are going to throw copious amounts of money at them. Mm-hmm. But for guys who have already, say, had a good payday, sometimes more than less, it's the allure of, hey, this is my chance to be immortalized, to win Europe. I can go play for Pep Guardiola. I can go play for a team that's won multiple Premier Leagues, They're maybe making some headway in the Champions League. And, I'll get to play in Europe. There's a good chance I can win a title in England. Oh, man, it's the place to go. And all of a sudden, it's like, well, shit. So I already know there are 2 years that I don't even get the chance to play. And then what's the squad going to look like when they're once again eligible to go back to Europe?
Yeah.
Are the De Bruynes of the world going to stick around for this? Is the Kun Aguero of the world going to stick around for this? Raheem Sterling's already been rumors of him potentially going to Real Madrid. Bernardo Silva, what's he going to do? These are guys, don't forget too, there's a World Cup coming up in a couple of years. And I'm sorry, but playing in Europe gets guys, extra exposure to be picked for their national team. Now, of course, you have certain guys. Sterling's getting picked for England. De Bruyne's getting picked for Belgium. We understand this. But for some of those guys who might be kind of borderline as to are they going to be in the starting 11, someone maybe like a Bernardo Silva, Emerick Laporte, for those guys, suddenly it's like, shit, can I really, at this point in my career, can I really go 2 years not even having a chance to play in the Champions League?
Right.
For a lot of these guys, they have money tied up in Champions League, in bonuses, qualification, things like that, endorsement deals. I mean, there are so many things outside of just the football field that this means for City and for these players. And I mean, you just wonder what's going to be left of this City group after 2 years. And once again, this is a team that needs some surgery anyway. And they were kind of pointing towards a big offseason. Well, now not only this, but you're losing over $200 million, whatever denomination you want to throw it in, You're losing over $200 million in revenue that would come from the Champions League. And of course, revenue stream is what got them into this in the first place. Losing $200 million, that suddenly does mean something when it comes to financial fair play. City are going to be hamstrung by this. Now, that said, on the domestic front, this might be one of those things that galvanizes them next season, where obviously Liverpool are going to be your champions. I don't see Liverpool making big, drastic offseason moves. I mean, they're going to bring most of this team that wins the title. They're going to bring them back next year for another run at it. With Klopp, you don't expect them to fall off much. For City, especially if Guardiola does stick around, domestically this may galvanize them. And also the fact that, well, you sure don't have any Europeans. You don't have anything else to do in Europe. So it could maybe put them back in the hunt domestically. But internationally, this is huge. This is huge. This is going to have ripple effects for years to come for City. I've got a feeling this is going to hold up in an arbitration, in a court of appeal, actually, because there's so much evidence that not only did they financial dope, I think that's one thing is the financial doping, but then that they just flat out lied throughout the entire investigation about it.
Yeah, that's not good.
And that's really where UEFA's like, okay, fuck you. We've given you the opportunity. You had to pay a fine and kind of get a slap on the wrist. Just tell us the deal. But they tried to cover everything up so much. The cover up almost always seems worse than the crime. And just because of that, and because, I think UEFA, I think it's going to hold. I think it's going to stick. Wow. So, I mean, this is I don't know so much domestically how much this is going to shift the landscape. Well, that said, it's going to give somebody who was not going to get that fourth fourth Champions League spot, somebody's going to get it. God, could it be Sheffield United?
It could be.
Amazing. Personally, to me, I believe probably end up being Spurs. If they can just hold together with chewing gum and fishing line, apparently. But, it does all of a sudden give you a completely fascinating battle for really the third and fourth Champions League spot where, Liverpool's got one. Leicester look to be in an extremely strong position to take a second one now. With City out, Chelsea are slipping. Tottenham are trying to come at them. United are trying their damnedest to come at them. Sheffield are there. Suddenly Arsenal have won a few matches. Everton, holy crap, Everton. Everton we love to make fun of. Damn it, they're suddenly surging in the league. The Premier League is so, take out the team in red at the top. The Premier League has so much parity this year. People want to say it's a bad league because Liverpool. Boy, no, it's not a bad league.
No,
it's just that you have a bunch of flawed teams who still on their day can play really, really good football.
Absolutely,
and are just cannibalizing each other. I mean, more than anything, once again, take out Liverpool. The rest of this league is just cannibalizing each other. And it's just going to continue going forward. It is going to be a thrilling race, I think, in the Premier League to see who ends up in third and fourth place, technically. Technically speaking, who ends up in third and fourth and gets those last two Champions League spots. But, I mean, you're looking at Sheffield United being a team in Europe next year. Wolves look like they're going to get back into Europe next year. I mean, it's a crazy situation. It has taken a battle for one playoff, for one Champions League spot, and suddenly thrown two into the pot.
Yeah, that's big.
And it's very exciting. It's going to be very enthralling to watch on the way because once again, there just does not seem to be a team looking for that third and fourth spot now who is really just about to jump up and put it in a stranglehold and take it.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a war of attrition over, well, who's left at the end of the year? Who hasn't fucked up enough? But yeah, very exciting. And for City, I feel for the squad on the field. There's been a lot of talk about, oh, you got to strip them of their titles. Oh, and that would give Liverpool too. No. That's some of the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard. As a Liverpool supporter, I fully believe that even if the Premier League ever tried that, which there's no precedent, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
If they tried to give it to Liverpool, I think Liverpool would look at them and say, no, absolutely not. Especially with the feel-good factor you have this year. Number 19 has become such a big deal to Liverpool that suddenly you wake up and it's like, oh yeah, we actually have 21, but we didn't really win 19 or 20. No, you can't take those away from City. You can take them out of the books if you want. You can put asterisks beside them if you want. Whatever you want to do. But I mean, at the end of the day, those fans, that squad, they lived through that. They won their titles, and there's nothing else to say. They fully deserve their titles because they went out and won them on the field.
Yeah. The players didn't do anything wrong.
No, they didn't. For whatever we think of Pep didn't do anything wrong here. The first team, the coaches, the staff, they didn't do anything wrong here. It's just you look at the ownership, you have corrupt ownership. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take anything away from the 100 points and to follow up with 98 points and the 93rd minute winner to win that first title. I mean, nothing takes away from those. I think you've just got a lot of bitter anti-City supporters who are of this whole take their titles. No. I also don't think you should take the Astros title.
There you go.
Roger Bennett did have the best quote on this, as he usually does.
Yes.
This is all right. He said, the punishment being handed down on Stones beating on a trash can.
There you go. It's all he's good for at this point, really.
Oh, man.
Sorry, Johnny. So that has been a huge story. There is also, we're not going to go into it, I think, but there was a little bit of talk about, well, will the Premier League also do a big point deduction this year?
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe they will.
It won't be this year. If something happens, it might be next season. That'll be something to keep an eye going forward on. I don't think it's anything to really even talk about much right now.
So, and again, all this still relies on the taking up of the Court of Arbitration of Sport, which I imagine will be fast-tracked and will be heard very quickly because they need to know if City can actually play in the Champions League next year.
Yeah, but we know they don't do shit fast. So.
Well, there we go. So we will just, wow. Still sort of picking my job off the floor. Well, usually we start news and notes with pimping of the athletic stories. That kind of got derailed. Wes, anything you're checking out in the athletic this week that caught your fancy?
Gosh, so much good stuff in there. There's been a lot of City. There's been some good stuff about Liverpool that was really good until the build-up, and then it all fell apart. Shit. Let me take a look at what I've got saved real quick. I've got one I'm really excited to read. It is called A Tribute to Harry Gregg.
Oh, okay.
Harry Gregg was a player for Manchester United. Back in, I believe he was on the plane in Munich. Busby's Babes that went off the runway and killed a lot of that great young Manchester United team. And I'm really looking forward to reading it. He's going to talk about his memories. A quote he said, "In the still hours before the world awakes, I often see their faces. They are all young men. We all are." Just something that he's had to live through his life. It was a sad thing. A great tragedy that is still remembered to this day when it happens, and it's an anniversary for it, so you get stuff like that. Anyway, on other things, there's a really article about his time in Liverpool. Called For 3 years, Liverpool fans made Fernando Torres feel like a king. Then everything changed.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one.
I love that one. I read a really interesting article today about Zach Greinke.
Oh, okay.
Who is just a fascinating human being.
He is.
If you ever really dig into Zach Greinke, wow, he's something. I'm trying to think what it was called. It's called 1 in 10 Million: An Oral History of Zach Greinke's Royals.
Ooh, I'm saving this for later.
He's the epitome of this guy just does shit.
He's eccentric, is what we'll call him.
He is eccentric. And there's a story from last year that was actually really good as well, about his path of kind of walking away from baseball and then coming back to it. And one more I'll point out, a really good article I read today about Todd Stottlemyre. If you remember Todd Stottlemyre,
yes.
pitched for the Toronto Blue Jays, a few other teams in his career. His father, of course, legendary New York Yankees pitching coach Mel Stottlemyre. Really, really good article on him. Apparently, he was back in Toronto for one of the first times since he left back in like 1994.
Wow.
It was Toronto does their what do they call it? It's like Winter Wonderland, something like that. Jay's Winterfest.
Yes.
And he was invited back for it. And, it goes into a lot of things about his career, some of his personal life. Really interesting read. And I like, as people like to write in the comments, this is why I subscribe. And that is one of those why you subscribe. There's an article about Daniel McGrath in Red Sox camp as Daniel McGrath fights for his Red Sox job. His heart is in fire-ravaged Australia. What about Eduardo Rodriguez? Losing his big brother David Price in the trade, and now he's kind of got to step up. I mean, dude, it's that time of the year. We've got the champions. We got the Premier League. Football's obviously in full on, full blown everything. Baseball spring training is here, so there's just baseball content out the ass. College football is, we've had signing day. Now spring practice is less than a month away. So everybody's getting ready for college football to get going again. There's a ton of NFL draft stuff in there that's interesting. If you're not an NFL fan like us, it's just, there's still a lot of really interesting stuff. So, I've pinned it. I've pinned it, by God, and I'll continue to forever. This is the best $60 I spend every year.
It's fantastic. I will very quickly just shout out one article. This is an exclusive by Adam Crafton from last Friday, that the government is looking to act on betting advertising in football this year, with senior figures pushing for a ban on shirt sponsorships. We see them a lot, advertised throughout the games, on the signage around the pitch. They even have, Everton and West Ham is the top picture, and both of their front kits are gambling agencies. This is something I think that's been going on in England for quite a while now, especially in soccer, as that's become a much bigger thing. And is I don't want to say it's an epidemic. I don't think it's that bad, but it's starting to get kind of bad. And obviously when you're advertising something to a lot of young kids who are going to be watching these matches, they don't exactly maybe know how to handle that sort of thing. So I don't know. This is going to be very interesting. And obviously there's a lot of money from this. So expect a lot of pushback from that. Hey, DraftKings. So we will see how that continues to play out. But that is a fascinating article from Adam Crafton. We'll wrap up with a couple stories here for news and notes. Just the Paul Pogba saga will not end over at Manchester United.
I don't think yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say last Friday it comes out that it's through his agent Mino Raiola that Pogba is looking to head back to Juventus. So we're just going to start racking up those frequent flyer miles between Manchester and Juventus, I guess. And then, for reasons that are still not totally clear to me, Raiola a few days ago, I want to say Tuesday, that was the 17th, or was that Monday? That was Monday. Put out a big Twitter post basically saying, hey, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Paul Pogba's not your property. It's okay. So, yeah, this is it's fascinating because obviously either of us are a fan of United. In fact, we actually just like to point and laugh at them a lot. But this is I think as close as you and I get to the sort of reality TV drama of Desperate Housewives sort of thing. And this is going to be, this breakup's going to be messy. I mean, it's already bad. Let's not mince words here. It's already been bad, but it looks like, especially from Raiola's side, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And I don't know what the tipping point is. I don't know if Pogba will ever play a match for United again, but this is going to keep going through the season. And Wes, for a team you said is now chasing one of those two potential Champions League spots that are up for grabs, this is just a distraction that, even with Pogba not playing, still seems to be sort of rearing its ugly head over the team.
Now they're talking, he's no timetable on his return.
Much like Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, Rashford's is legitimate, at least how he gets. With Pogba, I mean, at this point, I don't know if you don't just come to an agreement with him and Raiola where you're like, oh, shut down for the year and just fucking forget about it.
Yeah.
If I'm Ole, why are you ever? If anyone asks me a question with the word Paul Pogba next, I'm going straight Marshawn Lynch. Next question.
I'm just
next question. I'm out of here. I'm just here so I don't get fined. I mean, I would not touch a Paul Pogba question at this point. It's nothing but a distraction to your team. It's nothing but just, as you made light of earlier, rubbing salt into a wound. Just, it needs to finish. Just let him go. Let him go back to you, where I'm sure he will excel and just make United fans even more pissed off. But he needs to be out of Old Trafford yesterday, just for the sanity of that club at this point.
It's just so depressing because Pogba could have been so good for this Manchester United club. This could have worked.
Well, it's depressing for United fans.
Well, yeah, not for us, obviously.
As you remember, I was terrified when this happened.
Yes, we all were. And then we realized it's Manchester United and Ed Woodward. How could this possibly go right? It does seem like it's just been so bad from the jump. And he's had his moments of brilliance. He had, of course, the World Cup run with France, but this has been such a terrible reunion. And it just feels so weird that he's going right back to Juventus, potentially. I don't understand.
Yeah, we figured he was going to Real.
Yeah. Who knows? Who really?
Maybe Pep goes with him, or maybe he just wants to play sorry ball.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to play sorry ball?
Yeah, who wouldn't just be begging to go play sorry ball?
Certainly not us.
Definitely better run than United.
That's fair. At least they can win some trophies this year. That's gonna do it for us for news and notes. Wes, let's hit the watch for what you watching in the week that was and the week that will be.
Oh, broken record, Wes. When I get a chance, I'm watching Sopranos. You guys know that. I'm getting down into single digits left in this series.
No.
Just magnificent. Just magnificent.
Just out of curiosity, do you know how it ends?
I mean, I think everybody knows how scene ends.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of those you had to be under a rock to not hear it.
Just wondering. Okay.
That said, I never paid enough attention to listening. I always had in my head, I'm going to watch this one day.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of purposely missed spoilers over the years. You know, when they would start talking about it, I'd either turn the channel or I'd just like tune out and do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yes, I kind of know how the last scene ends.
Okay.
And I understand that part, but all the build up to it, everything to me now is still, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Fair enough. Okay, cool.
So, yeah, I mean, so I'm getting to experience it the way a binger should be able to experience it. I guess I'll get to make my own evaluation at the very end of the series, which was what you're supposed to be able to do this, I guess.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm done with this, I got to catch up on 9-9.
Yes.
Because I'm hearing this season's just great.
Oh, it's off to a fantastic start.
So, and luckily with that, you know, I'll be able to knock 3-4 of those out at a time. You know, even maybe 5-6 at a time. Where Sopranos, you've got to, you know, it's a very heavy watch.
Yes.
Where 9-9 is not a heavy watch.
No, it is not.
I just want to run them all and say, boom! Nah.
How dare you, Detective Diaz? I am your commanding officer.
Oh my god, I love that. That meme page that I follow just makes me so happy.
One named producer Jackie will occasionally just start doing that scene. It's a favorite in the household here.
Just like yelling button. Makes me so happy. But yeah, we got that. Archer hasn't started quite yet.
No, May 6th.
That's right. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to catch up with Archer too before that kicks off.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know, little work schedule change now might open some things up.
Hey,
yeah, we'll see.
All right,
we see.
Yeah, I guess I will just simply talk about Brooklyn Nine-Nine because it is fantastic, and this latest episode, which I do believe I dropped the title of on last week's podcast, being Pumamento. God, that's a good episode. Oh, it's a good episode. If you, unsurprisingly, if you like the movie Memento, you will like this episode. Man, just it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Very very.
Sorry, what you were talking. I had to go watch the bone scene. Bone. I love it. I'm done. I love it so much.
Don't need it. Oh, did you and Kevin work things out? Nope. Oh, did you and Kevin? Yep. Your dad's had sex.
Oh, I think we have a title for this week's episode.
I especially love, like, one of my favorite parts that I feel like, because I feel like you could do like a 500-word oral history article on this scene. I love, and it's so understated, but his initial, what'd you say?
What'd you say? It's like, wait, his voice just going?
Yeah, it's so great. It's like the only 2 times I remember doing it in the show is that, and then when they have him eat the marshmallow. After everybody tries to figure out what would Holt sound like while eating a marshmallow, and Charles is the only one to get it right. Oh man, I did have a name for this episode. Now I have a new one. So, with that, coming in at the wire there. That is going to do it for this episode of the Foreign Affair Podcast. As you already probably know by now, that's the best part. People listening to this, they know what the episode is before they start listening to it. They know what it's called. They're like, oh God, why is this the name of the episode?
We know what's coming.
No, it's like we teased it for so long, and then right at the end, we sprung it there on you guys. So thanks for joining us here for episode 302. Once again, shout out to NGSC Sports. You can find them on the social media as well as us on Twitter. As a collective, we are at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green, and you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, The All New Sports Show. And you can email us at allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Thanks to our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Play Music, and the iTunes Music Store. So with that, that is about going to do it for this episode. We'll be back next week. A whole another slate of Champions League matchups to talk about. The next 8 teams. We'll do a very brief Europa League recap, of course, because we got to talk about Wolves, which are playing today when you're listening to this. And yeah, of course, another weekend of the Premier League. There's going to be that big Chelsea-Tottenham match early Saturday morning. So be sure you check that out, and we'll be talking about that here. Unless, of course, it's like a 0-0 draw, and just then whatever. But on to better things. And before we get out of here, Wes, anything else you'd like to add?
College baseball's back.
Woo!
Yeah, baby. East Carolina got a sweep of Bill and Mary over the weekend.
Oh, loved him, hated her.
And lost to Campbell today, but whatever.
Tony Dowdy, I'm sure, was happy.
Campbell's always good. So always good. Campbell's gotten good here recently. So, yeah, but the Pirates off to a good start. I think Carolina's off to a good start. State's off to a good start. But stay in North Carolina. My God, we play good baseball around here. If you're a college baseball living within about 2 hours, but anywhere between 2 hours between Chapel Hill and Greenville, between Chapel Hill and Wilmington.
True, yeah.
Man, this is a great place to live if you love college baseball, and we do. So we're going to bring it up every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
Also, on the basketball, hard to
yes.
Tobacco Road. Jesus, NC State just thumped Duke by 22.
Wait, what?
88-66 in Raleigh.
Hold up. Why was I getting no notifications about this?
I don't know. I happened to see it when I Serie A standings. I was like, wait, what the hell?
What? Apparently, what in the hell just happened?
Yeah.
My God. Well.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm expecting that.
Stephen F. Austin looks a little less impressive now if NC State can do this to Duke. I will say that right now. Anyway. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, college basketball, March Madness is about to kick up here in just like a couple weeks. So
I'm down for March Madness. I don't watch a lot of college basketball.
Still great. Apparently, the ACC is only going to get about 2 teams, maybe 3 now.
Really, the Big Ten's getting everybody.
Yeah, everyone. All 11 from the Big Ten.
Only 11?
Yeah, only. That is going to do it now for the Foreign Affair podcast from McCall & Crime, Wes Bradshaw. I'm Edward Green. Thank you so much for joining us here this week. And until next time, stay safe, especially if you're around Atletico Madrid players, and enjoy the football.
And sleep tight, sweet Prince Pep. Oh, your little tears running down your little bald head. Oh, no Champions League to look forward to.
Wait, what position is he lying in where the tears are... Oh, okay, I see what you mean. You threw me off because you said bald. So I thought they were like going like down his forehead somehow.
It's just rivulets. Just rivulets. Good night, Pep. Good night, Pep. Good night, Man City fans. Enjoy this fortnight.
Yeah.
Because I think Raul's going to knock you out.
Oh, well, maybe.
And then you really don't have to worry about anything.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCSports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.